All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's talk about this. So, Kamala, she went down to the border. It's her first visit down there. Now, a lot of people, you're going to say, oh, Ray, but she was down there before, wasn't she? No, she wasn't. She went down close to the border before, never actually went to the border. This time, she actually went down to the border, walked the fence line, talked with some agents, actually did what she was supposed to the first, 4 years, 3.5 years, however long it was that she was appointed to be in charge of the immigration problem that the U.S. faces. This is the first time that she's actually gone down there and talked with people, boots on the ground, that kind of thing, and had conversations. She did a little, well, I wouldn't say little. She had like a rally afterwards. Talked about it a little bit. She talked about the hurricane that hit Florida and that her and President Biden are working around the clock. That seems to be their thing, is they work around the clock, whether it be the hurricane, the border, the foreign wars everywhere going on. They're working around the clock, as she always says, to come up with solutions and end all of this crap. But they don't really do anything. Biden goes to sleep at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and she's out trying to get elected. So neither of them are really doing anything about any of this stuff. So there's that. But we're gonna take a look at a couple of clips here, and you can see. Look, the video that I've got of her walking the fence line with the border patrol. She wasn't mic'd up or anything, so you can't really hear what they're talking about. You can hear a couple of words come through from the reporters that are there, but you can't really hear anything that they're even talking about. You see her point up and down the fence line a couple times, and I mean, you just can't really tell what they're actually talking about. But here, I'll show you. So we get this. Give me just a sec here. Let me get this ready. Should have had this ready already. Come on, Ray. Anyway. All right.
See the terrain so that the ability for our agents to move laterally east to west and respond is incredibly important. And I think one of the other key things that really is incredibly necessary to talk about is the amount of rescues that we do. So every day, and the agency is often maligned, there's often some vilification. Agents are out there risking their lives every day. Drive off or somewhere, hoping out of these helicopters to get 8,000 pounds to rescue someone who's broken the leg, or that's run out of water. It's just exhausting. They just can't do it anymore. And every time we do that, we put the agent at risk, we put the crew at risk, everybody to make those rescues. I think that's maybe one of the key factors. Just really doesn't get talked about. It kind of gets lost in the noise about the border. Oh, absolutely. That's the thing that.
See, the first little part of that, they've got the subtitles down there for what the border agent is talking about, but you can't hear nothing that she's saying. I mean, I guess he's talking loud enough that the mics from the camera crews are picking that up, but she's not talking loud enough to pick anything up. So
100%. We try to go after them, and we do take them down in coordination with HSI and our other partners. But it is difficult because you take one out, another one pops up because there's so much money tied into this.
you can't hear nothing that she's saying. Now, see, now they're further away. I wonder if they walked further away and that's where the cameras have to stay at, or if they push the camera people back. I don't know. Get your photo. Yeah, they got to get their photo up in there. This is pretty much the rest of it. See, she's still can't. She's gonna point up and down the fence there. She can't hear anything now. Either they pushed them too far away so that they can't hear, or they walked further up that way.
Go back to vehicles. Let's go back to vehicles. vehicles. Come on, we gotta go.
Now they're shuffling everyone back to the vehicles. But look, she's come down here. This is the first time she's come down to the border in the last 3.5 years. That even after she was appointed to be in charge of the immigration crisis in the U.S., it's the first time she's been down there, and the only reason that she's down there now is because she knows it's a losing issue for her on the election. The border is a losing issue, and she knows it. Her internal polling has got to be telling her, "Look, you got to get down to the border because we got to get a photo op down there because you're getting smashed on the immigration policies," which rightfully so. She was put in charge of the immigration. She's completely just let it go by the wayside. She's let millions of people into this country, and it's overwhelming the citizens in the country legally, and that's why she's down there. She's hoping that this is going to turn her. She's hoping this is going to turn her around as far as the polling goes on the border and immigration, and I don't think it's going to work. Everybody knows that she's been in charge of the immigration for the last 3.5 years. Biden himself said it, that she was in charge. He couldn't think of anyone better to handle the immigration crisis. She got put in charge of it 3.5 years ago, and she's let it go by the wayside. And now they say the official number is 10 million plus people that have come in. That's just the ones that they know about. I think it's got to be at least double that. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's going to be a lot more than just the 10 plus million that they claim. So I don't think that this is going to help her. People already have it in their minds who they're going to vote for at this point. She might sway a couple people maybe, but I don't even see that happening because, like I said, she's been in charge of the border for the last 3.5 years and she hasn't done jack about it. So that's how I feel about that. Now, this is from Fox. This was Senator Rick Scott. Yeah, Rick Scott's from Florida. He was on Fox and they talked a bit about the hurricane, and rightfully so, because there's a lot of stuff going on with that, and that needs to be handled. Ron DeSantis is doing a pretty good job, I think, of that. But this is they kind of switched topics, and they talked about Kamala going down to the border, and this is what we got for that.
I want to ask you about another big story that's going on today, Senator, and that is Vice President Harris's visit to the border. Arizona, obviously, a very important state in this election. Most recent polling shows President Trump up by 3 in Arizona. Your take on her visit there today, and
remember what I said before. Look, all these polling numbers, they generally favor Democrats. So I always take it as you got to figure it around the 3-point range, okay? So whatever Kamala's pulling, take 3 points away from her and give them to President Trump, because that's how I generally take it, because like I said, these polls favor Democrats generally. So I always just, as a good rule of thumb, I put it that way. You take 3 away from the Democrat runner and put them towards the Republican, because that's how these polls always favor the Democrats. So it shows him up 51%. It's probably closer to 54 or 55.
what you think is behind it politically?
Well, what has she been doing for the last 3.5 years? She's the border czar. So if she's acting like she cares about the 76,000 people died of fentanyl last year, one of every 44 Americans was subject to a violent crime in 2023. So somehow now she cares. If she cared, she would have been at the border before. And if she cared, she'd be in Florida right now, making sure all the federal resources are here right now. But all she wants to do is win an election. She doesn't care about American citizens. She just wants to win an election. This is just a photo op to act like she cares.
I couldn't agree more.
Some of what she has said over the course of her vice presidency on this issue.
I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances. This issue is about a vanity project for this president.
Right.
And
I think there's no question that we've got to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way that it is being administered and the work it is doing.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
On the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them.
Walls work. Proven
We
fact.
are going to the border. We've been to the border. So
I love this clip.
this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
I love that clip. Anyway, look, I couldn't agree with that senator anymore. I mean, it's a photo op. She doesn't really care. She's trying to get elected, and if she did care, she would have done something for the last 3.5 years that she's been in power. That's I know everybody keeps coming back to that, but it's got to be a point that gets hammered into everybody's brain. She's been in power for the last 3.5 years. She's been put in charge of the border for the last 3.5 years. Oh, I'm sorry, immigration. Same thing though. You can argue about semantics and the wording of it, but she was put in charge of immigration, which includes that border. She's been in charge of it for the last 3.5 years. She hasn't done jack about it. She let it go to the wayside, as I said before, and hasn't done nothing about it. Now all of a sudden she's interested in it because she's running for the presidency and she wants to get elected. She's doing everything that she can, and it's not going to work. This is, like he said, it's a photo op. And if she cared about it, she would have done something about it for the last 3.5 years that she was in office. Anyway, this next one we got. So this one is from fake ABC. They went in about how she's tough on border crossings and she's a DA and blah 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 blah. And she's not, because if she was, she would have been for the last 3.5 years. But they keep touting that garbage on these. I mean, Fox, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Fox either. They've got a few good programs on there that I do watch because they are more, I'll be honest, they're biased. They're more leaning towards the Republican side versus, but I watch it all. I watch CNN, I watch ABC. ABC is terrible. So is CNN. But anyway, I watch it all. Sometimes I wish I didn't have to, but to keep myself informed and my critical thinking skills, I keep doing it. So, but anyway, this is her new ad. ABC ran it, and this is her new ad on the border. So check this out.
She put cartel members and drug traffickers behind bars, and she will secure our border.
Tonight, Harris promising if she's elected, she will.
Why hasn't she done it now? She's been put in charge of the immigration. Why hasn't she secured it already?
Will add 1,500 more border agents and officers, crack down on fentanyl smuggling and human trafficking, and surge resources to the border. Much of this was included in the landmark bipartisan border security bill that Harris supported, but that Donald Trump urged members of Congress to tank, just as the campaign was heating up.
Lies,
He picked up the phone and called some friends in Congress and
look, we're going to cover this. Look. That bill, okay, was not what they say it is. It was, I keep going back and forth between 60 and 70 billion because I can't exactly remember the number, but it was a big number. And it was about 10 billion going to the border security. But you had 60 or 70 billion going to Ukraine. It's not a border bill. It's a Ukraine bill. You cannot justify, and they keep spouting it, you cannot justify saying that this is a border bill when you've got the majority of that money going to Ukraine and then just barely a sliver of it going to the border. You can't call that a border bill. It's a Ukraine bill. And I've said it over and over and over and over again. And this needs to be a point that, look, President Trump needs to make this a point too. J.D. Vance, President Trump, Vivek, everyone who keeps going onto these media shows, they need to hammer this in, that the fact that this border bill that she keeps spouting that Donald Trump shot down had 60 or 70 billion dollars going to Ukraine and 10 billion going to the border. You cannot call that a border bill. It should have been called the Ukraine bill. That's all there is to that. Just shut it down and just spout the numbers that were in the actual bill. But okay, and this is just a little bit of her rally that she held just after her visit. So
why I strongly supported the comprehensive border security bill.
see, comprehensive security border bill. It's not a border bill. It's a Ukraine bill.
Written last year, as you know, by a bipartisan group of senators, including one of the most conservative members of the United States Congress. That bill would have hired 1,500 more border agents and officers. It would have paid for 100 inspection machines to detect fentanyl that is killing tens of thousands of Americans every year. It would have allowed us to more quickly and effectively remove those who come here illegally, and it would have increased the number of immigration judges and asylum officers. It was the strongest border security bill we have seen in decades.
Look, I agree with all of that. I do. I want all of that. Plus some money to go towards the wall, because walls work. And that's just a fact. Walls work. I want all of what she just said, plus some money going towards that wall to finish it up. I want all that. But that's not, and that might have been in that bill. But the fact that it had the majority of that money, more than the majority, going to Ukraine is the reason it got shut down. And like I said, that point needs to be hammered into people's brains.
It was endorsed by the Border Patrol Union, and it should be in effect today, producing results in real time
And
right
sending
now
more taxpayer
for our
money
country.
to Ukraine. Look, she's said this over and over and over again, okay? I do not think that this is helping her. I don't think that this is. People already know about what's going on the border. People already know that she was in charge of the immigration situation. People already know that she has let it go by the wayside for the last 3.5 years. People know that she hasn't done jack about it. And now all of a sudden, because she's running for the presidency, she's down there talking about it. This is the only reason. Why hasn't she been down there in the past 3.5 years until now? Why hasn't she done anything in the last 3.5 years until now? Why hasn't she done it? She can bring up the border bill all she wants, but it's not, like I said, it's not a border bill. It's not. She brings it up every single time, and that's her defense on why nothing got fixed at the border. But keep in mind, she said it would have been in effect for over a year now. What about the other 2.5 years that you've been in charge of the border and didn't do anything? It was only after everything got so crazy that y'all even tried to do the border bill, and by then it was, what were you at, like 7 or 8 million people that have come across into this country illegally? That's just the ones we know about. That's still 2.5 years that you didn't do anything. And then you throw the border bill out there. My personal opinion, I think they knew it was going to get shut down because they had so much money going to Ukraine. Just my opinion. I could be wrong about that too. But I'm telling you, you throw that much money into what they call a border bill, and then you have to think about, people are going to read it and say, hey, why is there so much money going to Ukraine when this is supposed to be a bill that's supposed to help fix our southern border? Call me crazy, but that's just what I think. So I don't think it's going to help her. And like I said, people have already made up their minds. They know that she has done a terrible, terrible job on the border, and they know that President Trump, one of his major campaign things that back in 2016 was fixing the border, putting up the wall. And all the Democrats said that it was racist and evil and wrong. So, but walls work, and it's just a fact. So that's my 2 cents on everything. Like I said, I don't think this is going to help her in her favor. I still think people are going to see what she's actually done for the last 3.5 years, which is nothing, and it's just, this is not going to help her. She can throw that border bill out all she wants. I don't think it's going to help her cause. Anyway, that's all I got for this. We'll keep making these videos every time something else comes up. Appreciate you hanging out, and I hope you all have a great day.